Okay, so before we move to the next section, right, which is section 4.6, object property, I assume that you completed section 4.5, right? But before I move into the next section, I want to show you how to save, your work, right? I mean, at least I like to show you how I save my work, right? Because you know that it's project can crash at any time, especially when you use a reasoner, right? But we're not going to use a reason. I mean, maybe we can use a reasoner at this lecture, but we're not going to have too much problem because right now the example that we are doing is relatively simple, right? So we're not going to have a lot of problem, but no matter what, please make this as your habit, okay? Save your work, but I'll show you how to save your work, okay? So, show you how I save your work. I mean, you don't have to follow me, but, okay, file, save as, right? The total and okay. And then since I have just completed section of chapter 4.5, and I say pizza, chapter 4, and the section 5, right? And save. Okay. So let me show you the directory, right? No, hold on. Okay, so this is the directory where I usually store my. This is a directory that I store this pizza, ontology, right? And the 4.3 means this OWL file has all my work up to section 4.3. And this one has all my work up to section 4.4. And this guy has this file, this OWL file has what? All my work up to section 4.5. So this is works like a snapshot, in the virtual machine, right? You guys know the snapshot, right? The snapshot preserves the state and the data of a virtual machine, right? At a specific point in time. You don't. Some people use date and time. Let's say pizza like August 7, and this one is, let's say, pizza dash August 9th, and this one is like August 10th, and etc. Some people use a date and time, and for me, I just use the chapter and section number, right? But I want you to I want you to do the same thing, like similar thing at least, right? To save your work, okay? And probably when we are done with the pizza tutorial, right? I expect you to have many files, right? Chapter 5, chapter 6, even with so please save your work, as many as you can, right? Okay, so having said that, let's just move to the next section, which is section 4.6, order properties. We just finished section 4.5, so now let's talk about 4.6. Okay, as the title indicates, we're talking about the property, right? So there are three most important properties in what? In ontology, right? They are what? The classes, properties, and individuals, right? Individual, also known as instances. Okay, now, actually, this shows that it has what? It has three. Let me just move my pen, Epic pen. Okay, and okay, so hold on. Okay, so they said object properties and the data properties and the annotation property. For this particular section, 4.6, our main focus is what? The main focus is object property. And you know that object properties object properties are the most important, among all three, okay? So the object property is really important. Data properties is okay, and annotation properties just comments. So, okay, so object properties are relations between what? Two individuals. Okay, that's very important. It's not between the two classes, but between the two individuals, so two instances. So that's the object property. Okay. Example is what? Example is, let's say, here is the, let's say, person class. Then here is what? Pet class, for example. No, maybe I'll just say use different example. Let's see. Okay, so I'll just use. Okay, so let's say person, right? Person class, and this one is, let's say, country, right? So in the person, let's say we have a Kate as an individual, right? And then in the country as an individual, it has USA. So we can use object properties. Object properties like a bird, right? In English, right? So the Kate lives in USA. Okay, so the lives in, that's the object property, for example. So as you can see, this object properties connects what? Two individuals, right? Not class. Okay, so you can just read, please just read, okay? I'm gonna skip this in this lecture. And so now let's just do exercise 9. Please read this. I'm not gonna go through everything. So let's just do exercise 9, right? Exercise 9 is the basically, you need to add what? You need to add has ingredients. That's like the property, right? And underneath property, it has base and has topping. So it's just like a thing, right? In the class, right? Just like the thing is basically it's a top of everything, right? It's like a super class. And then everything else is a subclass. Same thing for the object property. So you see that this is object property tab, right? Classes. And actually you can access the object property under entities. Okay, but I'll just go using this object property, tab. And then that just like OWA thing, this top object property is the superclass of everything, right? So I just click this, and then I'm gonna add what? Has ingredient, right? So let's see if I'm right. Where is my PDF file? Okay, so let's just say yes, it has ingredients, and then underneath as a subclass, it has base and has topping. Okay, that's something that we need to add. So let me just type what has ingredient. So you know that it's the property always start with a lowercase letter, right? As ingredient, right? No, let me see. As in ingre, ingredient. Okay, I don't want to make any spelling mistake. Okay, so good. Now underneath the has ingredient, so has ingredient object property also has two subclasses, subproperties. Is called has base and has topping, right? So they said, right, and then create object property hierarchy, right? And then we're gonna add has topping and has base, right? So has ingredient, but you know that if you look at the subclasses, it describes. I mean, it really like it's more concrete, right? It has ingredients. It's not real. It's kind of ambiguous, right? But when you add subclasses, then it become more concrete, right? So for example, you can just click this guy, add subproperties, or maybe you can use Windows and then is that the Windows? Oh, the tools, sorry. Tools, I don't really use the tools, but anyway, this is something that you can use. Tools, and then what? Create, make sure that you first select has ingredient, right? And then go to tools, and then you can use a create object hierarchy. So you can use this one as the as shown in the exercise 9, or you can just click this one and then you can add this icon, add subproperty. So I'm just using this. I usually for this, especially for the property, I don't really use tools. Okay, but it's up to you. I want you to know that there's two ways. So the let's see, has topping, right? Okay, and then I'm going to add another subproperty called has base. Okay, so now I have created another subproperty underneath has the ingredient. As you can see, if you look at the subproperty, right? I mean, has ingredient has like, you know, a little bit ambiguous, right? The subclass has base and has topping is more concrete, right? More specific. Same thing for the classes. If you think this, let's say the pizza topping is kind of ambiguous, right? You don't know which pizza topping, but as you move toward like, you know, like to a more like more depth, right? Like move toward the subclasses, things getting more concrete, right? Pizza topping, well, for example, let's say seafood topping is more specific, right? It's more concrete compared to the pizza topping. And even with the seafood topping, right, you have more concrete classes, right? So subclasses becomes what? I mean, so subclasses are more concrete and more specific, right? Even the seafood now, the prawn and tuna, right? It becomes more specific, right? Okay, so that's it. That's a section 4.6, right? And then I'll talk about 4.7 in my next video lecture. Thank you.